Alright folks, I think I may finally have the settings the way that I want them to be, so hopefully audio is going well and this goes even better. So welcome to an impromptu live stream. Once again, I am Vex Nihilo. Welcome to Vex Factor Gaming. Today what we're going to do is talk a little bit about Grand Arena Prep. So especially if you're really hammering it hard and trying to climb the ladder as best as you can, you're eventually going to run into some scenarios where you're going against somebody that either outguns you or they've got a good win record and stuff, and you want to be as prepared as possible. So once again, thanks for anyone that was joining that joined me for my pilot stream. We did eke out a win there, which was amazing. And then just by way of a review, we did that because we planned ahead. We checked out to see what our opponent was doing, what they might put down, their history, and so on and so forth. Saw that they were lacking in a certain area and then used that to our advantage, and everything worked out perfectly when we did it that way. So what we're going to do today is go a little bit deeper into that. Last time we just kind of took a look to see what he had in his arsenal and then plan from there. But our next opponent is not going to be as big of a pushover, potentially. So we are going to be fighting against, let me see if I can move myself over here for just a moment. We're going to be fighting against Mir Lori. I'm not really sure what the name is on that one, but it's going to be good, except for this one is not going to be as clear-cut of a win. So let's hop in here and take a look and see what he's got packing. We do have the same number of GLs, but not the same GL composition. He's got a Lord Vader and a Jabba to go up against my JML and my Kylo. We do have Kenobi and Old Man Palps, which is nice, but these two are, I mean, JML and Kylo are still going to be good, but these are just much better defensive options, especially unless you've got good, like the bounty hunter counter with Fennec for Lord Vader, and then a really strong Night Sister team with some really good RNG on your side to take out Jabba. We don't have either one of those. Additionally, we are going against some of those other meta teams. We've got a Radis that we're worried about. We've got an Afra. We do have the Omi Imbo this time that I'm assuming he's going to put with his Jabba. And we also have both the Malgus and the Star Killer that our last opponent was lacking. Malgus has got all the Omis all the way up there to R7. Star Killer has got all the Omis except for the Force Repulse one, which is the Buff Dispel. He did go for the debuff remover Omi, which is, I mean, it's nice, but it depends on what you're using Star Killer for. A lot of people these days are using him as a ray counter, and if you're going to do that, you really need that buff dispel to get off the critical hit immunity that are usually all over ray teams. Otherwise, Ray can get those inspiration marks. They can only be removed with crits. So if you got crit immunity and she's got all 3 stacks of inspiration, then any sudden whirlwinds or definitely ultimates are really going to hurt. So I don't have Ray though, so in this case it doesn't really matter, but just some knowledge, food for thought for anybody that's interested. First thing you want to do is get his main Omi. I think it's on there's the much conflict in. Yeah, you want to get the much conflict in you first, and then you can go for the Force Repulse. Definitely a worthwhile investment Omi wise if you're going to want to have a strong Ray counter. And then we also got Hondo, and then all the teams, the wonderful teams that go along with Lord Vader and Jabba. We've got some good scoundrels. We've got the Inquisitors team, and he does have Grand Inquisitor up here on top. Missing some of those Omis, which is nice, but I don't know a whole lot about Grand Inquisitor. I don't even know if those are for Grand Arenas anyway. So the good news is we're not looking at the Kron whale that we were dealing with before. I mean, these are still, they're decent Krons. They're not huge by any means, but they're still going to help him out a little bit. Got some health steal going on. It looks like he's pretty much in the same boat as me. Doesn't really pay whole lot of attention to them. Maybe goes for some good affixes, doesn't do a whole lot of re-rolling. It's just, it's got a lot of the health steal on there. Does have a max health and max protection up, and then the non-revival when a Sith, or the Sith's non-revival offensive stuff, which is nice. So some decent crons, again, but nowhere near what our last opponent was. However, we do have a problem in the realm of ships, that this guy did not sleep on his ships like our last opponent, and we are going up against both an Executor and a Profundity. So that's going to be a pain in the butt depending on how he deploys. Then he's also got a strong Malevolent, strong Negotiator. He does have a good Iden ship, there it is. So I mean, you can definitely use that as a good Executor counter. If I were to drop my Executor on defense, he's got a good Finalizer that he could use as well. So I'm seeing this and going, all right. Now we got to decide whether or not we want to put the Executor on defense. So like we were talking about the other day, for all intents and purposes, I'm outgunned on this one. I'm outgunned on ships. I'm outgunned on on GP. And then on GL composition, he just has the better thing. Kylo is still really good. JML is still really good depending on the scenario. But if I was to trade them out, I'd take Lord Vader and Jabba over those two any day of the week. Especially because, raids aren't really a thing for Kylo anymore. So in a scenario like this one, we can plan our defense as best as we can, but something that's going to help us out a lot more is to at least get an idea of what they might do. And there are some tools on swgoh.gg that can really help you out. And we're going to head over there and take a look-see. So there is one called Scan Player, and what you're going to need to do is drop in the ally code of the person that you're going up against. So I'm going to pop over here and take a look at his top level of his profile. So 866547 866. Cool. So let's scan him in. What this is going to do is give you an overview of how he's been doing in Grand Arena win-loss ratio with a nice little graph figure there, which is good. But where I tend to go is down here to GAC history. What this does is gives you all the last arenas, and in each one of these arena bouts, I don't know what you want to call them, you have the 3 rounds are all located in each one of these going back a few weeks. So what this does is it gives you the after action report on all the offense and defense that both players were doing. So I use this to give me an idea of what this person might put on defense, because when you're operating on the level that I'm at, you're going to have some wiggle room, especially depending on who it is. Like this guy's got a lot more wiggle room when it comes to what he can put on defense and still have a good offense. But if you're somebody like me, you don't have a huge amount of room, so you're generally going to float it around the same kind of defense each time, with maybe switch it up a little bit here and there, pull a meta team, drop a couple of GLs if you're going up against somebody who just doesn't have anything. But this guy, I discovered something that is actually, to me, pretty encouraging, and you guys can probably see what I'm seeing. For the last one, before our current round, or for our current arena, he won 1 and lost 2. And in each one of these, he had next to no participation. Like even in this last one, 2 battles he won easily, and then he just stopped. This first one here had a couple of battles that he won, and then he stopped. I'm sorry, I'm looking on defense. So round 1, go defense. He had 1 battle that he won, and then he just stopped. I'm sorry, that was right. Must be a Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. So yeah, again, I had it right the first time. He had a couple of 1 battles and then just kind of left. He used 2 GLs. He's got his Kenobi and his Lord Vader on offense for that one. Round 2, he tried 1 Kenobi versus Jabba, lost that, and then just kind of threw in the towel at that point. And then round 3, had a couple of battles, won both of them, and then just stopped. I didn't go into a whole lot of them past that, but yeah, see, I'm going into it now just so I can take a look, and what I'm seeing is a recurring theme that this person really doesn't like to do a whole lot. either it's laziness, and if so, that's fine. Maybe Arena is not really, his focus in Galaxy of Heroes. Or I know that some folks out there will do the same thing with their Arena or their Fleet Shards, and they'll just, they'll be trashed for a little bit to really drop themselves down, so that they can then turn around and just wreck house down at the lower levels, and a bunch of people that just don't stand a chance against them. But I mean, I went back like 2, we can go back 3. It's okay, now he's going in. Okay, so like going back, so it looks like right here is when he started. I don't even know when this was, around the end of June, so about a month ago, is when he just stopped participating, is what it looks like. But even when he's, participating, we can still take a look and see what his defense is going to do. So when you go over here, you can see what was used on defense for that round, and it depends on how much the opponent actually did. If there's only, like, you can see only 1 battle's recorded here, then you don't have a whole lot of data to pull from. But then we go over here, for example, when a nudist mongoloid went up against our current opponent, he did, looks like, just about a full clear here. So you go to defense, and now you got a whole lot of info that you can use to your advantage. And again, this does not prevent them from just completely redoing their defense, but one, given that this guy just seems like he's either like busy in real life or whatever, or just lazy or just doesn't care, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that he's probably going to go with roughly the same thing. And if he does, we are looking at Jabba on defense with a, he does have the Embo with the Omi, but a lower R7 Jabba, and then without that, that crazy data. Ooh, never mind. Ooh, 150 to defense. Okay, so if he's going to use that, that's gonna be a thick cookie, but still can go with the thing that we did before. Use an SEE to try and get it down to just Jabba, and then a Mon Mothma cleanup team. Although last one was 50% defense, and I think we downed that, and it took us about 3 minutes. So we'll might have to look at that. But for the moment, we're just going to see if we can kind of go through the same plan. And then, assuming that we get that Jabba out, what else we're looking at? We got a GG team. Take that out. No Watt on there, no Krons. Could probably throw a gas against that one. Qui-Gon team could do either a CLS or a Troopers on there. Got a Bad Batch. Actually, probably throw CLS on the Bad Batch team. Not too worried about that. Puts a Star Killer on defense for whatever reason. So we could handle that one. A really low-geared Mando team with all the characters from the Mando series, and then Zalbar and Mission. Got a Dash team that's got some stuff on there. The Vandor Chewie, so there's probably some cheese going to be going on. That does have a Hondo in there, so that'd be a pain in the butt. And then we have to get around the taunt to get to Vandor Chewie and get him out as soon as possible. So we'd have to figure something out to deal with that. A Santa team with some decent stuff on there. Shorty team with some stuff. Mon Mothma. All right, so not a lot. I mean, definitely stuff we could get through, especially when we're not dealing with. I mean, minus this Kron, that's definitely going to be chunky. We're not looking at like the ridiculous Kron stuff that we were in the previous Grand Arena. So it's going to kind of make me feel a lot more comfortable about using one GL for Jabba and then a cleanup to get that done. We might end up using the Troopers for that one, just because of Piet's ramp up to deal with that extra defense that we're going to be looking at, and then potentially use Mon Mothma somewhere else. But then for the rest of it, that still leaves me with Kenobi, Kylo, and JML to do some stuff with the rest of these teams, and I'm really not worried about that. So the next thing that we need to talk about, though, is fleets. And from what it's looking like, he does put his Executor on defense along with a Negotiator and a Raddus. And the Negotiator, he's running with a good composition of the Y-Wing. He's got Anakin out front. No Ahsoka to start off with, but definitely in reinforcements. So that one, it's not like gruelingly hard, but you don't want to sleep on it. And then the Raddus, not hugely worried about that one. Probably do the same thing this guy did and use a Malevolence on it. But again, you can take a look at each round. So I want to do the same thing. Let's go in defense over here. Let's see if anything changed. Doesn't look like a whole lot of it. A Jabba team, Bad Batch team, a Revan team. Still the same shorty, still the same dash. And then once again, yeah, Radis, Negotiator, and Executor. So that's the only 5v5 that we can look at. We can do some 3v3 to see if he kind of, you know, mixed it up a little bit with the fleets. This guy didn't get to fleets, round 3. Definitely got there. That's a really high banner count. So, yep. Yeah, so it looks like he's probably going to run the same thing. So assuming that that's going to be the case, let's hop back into the game. And I'm going to show you guys what I decided to do on defense earlier. I did it during my earlier stream, which had terrible audio. But here's where we're at. So when it comes to those fleets, I decided to pull my Executor off of defense. Why? Because he has both a strong Chimera and a Finalizer that he doesn't put on defense, at least historically, and either one of those can be used for a counter. But even if he doesn't use either one of those, he's got a Profundity. So putting my Executor on defense is unless he's a complete idiot and flubs 3 tries, 1 with the primary counter for the Executor, then he's going to get through my fleets. So again, like we were talking about with last thing, it's all about trying to, when you're going up an opponent that's got you outgunned, you want to try and set yourself up for a full clear. And I again tack on to that what I was saying earlier, that if this guy is as lazy as he appears, you know, I could go in and take out, you know, some stuff, maybe even do a full clear, and he sees that and just throws a couple of battles in and then calls it a day. I don't know. But always, always, always go into it assuming that your opponent is going to come at you as hard as you're going at them. So that's why I've got everything laid out the way that I have. I've got some decent stuff on defense, nowhere near as good of a Y-wing, but, you know, have that in there because, you know, it just helps out. Have Anakin on the front for the Negotiator team. I did put a Finalizer in there because it's not a pushover team, but I could use the Finalizer for the Executor over on his side. But what I'm thinking is I've still got my Malevolence. I'm probably going to use that against his Radis. And then for the Negotiator, I'm probably going to use I'm hoping that my Executor can either mirror match successfully his Executor, or more likely what I can do is go in with a Chimera counter and pray for RNG to either get out his Razor Crest, or always go for the Razor Crest first, because that, you know, the Executor is going to ramp up a lot slower because they're not getting that breach on every special. So if you can get out Razor Crest, then it makes a potential cleanup a lot easier. Bigger bonuses if you can get the Houndstooth out. And that's the whole point of the Iden counter, is to ramp up to the Chimera's ultimate as quick as possible and then take down the chunkiest ship that you can. And if you get Razor Crest and Houndstooth out and you still got your TIE Defender up, then it's basically over at that point. But even if that doesn't go through, I'd definitely soften it up enough that I can go with an Executor and then try at it for that. The main thing is we still have the Negotiator to deal with, but I've got an Executrix with those 3, these guys here, the Sith Empire ships that I've been hearing about make a good combo with the Executrix. Some people have said that they're almost as good as using them with the Leviathan at the moment. But you throw in TIE Bomber in there, which I probably am going to do. And then hopefully use that to take out Negotiator. So we either do that, or as I'm thinking about it, I usually get a little bit more luck with using Malevolence against Negotiator, and then getting that out. And then just kind of running with it from that. And if I get the Negotiator out, then I can use my my Executrix on that Radis team, and I'm not worried about that nearly as much. So the only other option that we could do is I do have my my Endurance right here that I could use, and if we do that, then, you know, we got some like one Galactic Republic ship left there. I mean, we could basically just throw some garbage stuff on there, like some of the Resistance fighters and what have you. What do you guys think? Because if we do that, let's see what this looks like for a moment. Let's put some stuff on there that I'm not going to use. Definitely not going to use anywhere. Ray. I know that Evan Hawk is good, but probably not going to use that. You put you in there just for some of that chaff. You for the really annoying dodges, and then a couple of guys here. I mean, it's obvious what I'm doing. It's a pushover. If I do this, then I have... if I do this, then I've got my Executor, Malevolence, Chimera, Executrix, and Finalizer. So that stacks me pretty good for clearing. He's going to clear me. He's going to clear my fleets no matter what. There's no way he does not clear my fleets. So assume that that's going to be the case. Keep as strong of an offense as you can. We're going to stick with this. I know this is trash. I know it's so cringe. This one isn't as bad, but it's still like it's not meant to really throw him a loop. It's meant to like hold enough that it's not just leaving an open door for him, but still leave me with my good offense. And the same thing is the story with our actual tunes. Gonna leave the Omi tray in there with the extra life and protection, just again to trip it up, because if he leaves Jabba on defense, he's gonna have 3 GLs left. And I've got some okay stuff on the front line, so if I'm lucky, he'll blow all 3 GLs, because again, he seems like he's lazy. Blow all 3 GLs on the front there, and then he comes to the back, and then if he doesn't have a GL left, you know, he uses his Star Carol on defense. I guess he could try and go for, I don't know what an Inquisitor team would look like against that, or an Afra team. Never had a chance to try those out, but it would at least throw him for a loop, and then he could very potentially get stuck behind that one, which is one less territory that I would have to full clear. On our front line, let's pop over here, take a look. Going to lead the Malgus in there with our amazingly sweet R9 Malik and R9 Revan with our R8 Malgus. More of the extra health and protection on that one. A decently good Separatist team. Got the buff immunity that starts auto with each battle. An okay bounty hunter team, and then our Phasma team that for whatever reason really seemed to trip up our last opponent. So not assuming that lightning is going to strike twice in the same place, but I'm going to leave it in there because why not? And then up north, we're going to leave those same teams that we had before. Going to have that Qui-Gon team that I'm an idiot with, of forgetting to hit resave roster and have all of his mods on there. The Rolo team, an Iden team, and then a Dash team. And I swapped out, last time I had, I don't remember what it was. I swapped out somebody for this guy because I'm probably going to still use the Hoth Rebel Scout on the Mon Mothma team, just to give me that extra turn meter, and therefore I'm not going to use my my Lando on him. So this is the defense we're going with. Again, it's not an open door, but it's enough that he's going to have to at least pay attention to get through it all in full clear. And it leaves me enough that even with what we were seeing earlier in these defensive runs here, I should still have enough to be able to get through all of his stuff and then do a full clear myself. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, just wanted to I mainly do this stuff for the sake of my guild. Shout out to all my fellow scoundrels down in the land of Sullust. Guilds always are strengthened when players are kind of sharing tips and tricks amongst each other, and everybody's kind of learning together. So Assuming that there's probably some folks out there that were already using this tool. There's some folks may even be using the new GAC Insight thing, and you know, I like the idea of it. I just don't like the idea of paying for a mobile game. But if you're in the same boat as me, you don't want to drop any money, then this is a really good free tool to use. It doesn't give you a guarantee of what they're going to do, but it will. It's better than going in completely blind. It can give you an idea of what you're going up against. You can also see like some of the teams that opponents have been using that worked, and it informs you. When it comes to war, more information is always the biggest advantage that you can have, is information on your opponent. So use this to your advantage as much as you possibly